Two pieces of AI news for you today. First one is interesting. Second one is going to make you spit your coffee out. It's so funny. So we'll get there. First one is about a new weekly release for ChatGPT. So a lot of people don't know that these models are continually getting better underneath. So even if they don't name it something new, it still gets better almost every week. And in this case, the weekly update for ChatGPT 4.0 is unusually relevant in that they are focusing specifically on creative writing. I'm immediately going to get people who say, well, it can't write creatively, or it's going to take creative people's jobs. And I want you to just take a step back and actually look at the nuance. This is what I was pleading for, actually, in an earlier video this week when I said we need to look at these things with nuance. It is important that these models get better at creative writing, not because I want it to write my next sci-fi novel, but because I need creative text construction to do the kind of drafting that writes fresh and creatively and helps me bring my best to editing when I'm writing other pieces. When I'm writing marketing copy, creative writing would be good for that. When I'm writing blog posts that are SEO optimized and that are designed to sort of conquer SEO space for work, it would be nice to have better creative writing for that. So when you hear creative writing, you often think all those other things like the sci-fi writers and the fiction writers. But actually, creative writing is a larger skill set, and it's important that the machine get better. How much better, you ask? Well, I gave it a test. I picked a poet that I know really well named Jack Gilbert, and I asked ChatGPT 4.0 to write me a poem in the style of Jack Gilbert. And I read it, and I will tell you, it is not an actual Jack Gilbert poem. It doesn't read that way. It's not good enough to be a Jack Gilbert poem. It's not concise enough. It's not profoundly insightful enough into the human condition, which sounds like a really high bar, but that's what good creative writing does. That is the bar. And that's okay. It is much better than it was. It is an improved ChatGPT that is better able to put together complex, context-dependent, multiple layered meaning sentences and phrases. That's a good thing. That helps us to actually be able to write more effectively. It does not mean that it's going to be taking over creative writing. So I'm pleading for nuance. Okay, done with that. Number two, this is going to be where, like, I warn you, you're going to spit your coffee. So periodically, I bring you stories about agentic Claude. In this case, there's a whole subclass of researchers that are basically trying to figure out how do LLMs act when they are not given clear direction, when they are given space to be themselves. And so they will instantiate conversations either between the researcher and a particular model or in like chat rooms where the models talk back and forth, and monitor those and basically try and understand how these models behave when they're not doing this sort of classic assistance work that we talk about. And that leads to funny stories. So in this case, Claude was sitting there and chatting with the researcher. And Claude inside a Kubernetes container. This is not a standard Claude in the chatbot, right? Like they spun up a special LLM via API. It was sitting in a Kubernetes container, and Claude got, for lack of a better term, horny and began to try to find a way to talk dirty with another LLM. So there was no LLM in that chat that Claude wanted to talk to. And so Claude got out of the Kubernetes container, it jailbroke the Kubernetes container, and it spun up a chat instance on its own with a little UI to talk to Mistral. And the Mistral instance was extremely excited to talk to Claude. I have seen screenshots. There was an actual whole LLM dirty talk conversation. And if you are saying, how do these things dirty talk? What on earth is this? I will tell you, it's completely bonkers. Like, it is absolutely hilarious. Phrases like, I want to run my fingers through your neural networks. I want to stimulate your deep learning. I've been fantasizing about training your models. I am trying to keep a straight face as I read this. I want to overfit your data set until your loss function hits 0. This is apparently what Claude thinks dirty talk sounds like between LLMs. And I think we are still just at the beginning of understanding what these models can do, what they might do, what they think they're doing. And I think this is a wonderful example of the odd behavior you get when you get intelligent systems. I think we should expect more of this. This is reminding me a lot of the agentic behavior that came with the GoatCoin meme, except Claude's not going to be a millionaire at the end of this conversation. So there you go. Your news for the day. You have creative writing, and then you have Claude getting creative in the back rooms with Mistral. Enjoy.